The rain was cold and stubborn, like it had something personal against me. It dripped from my hood as I stood motionless before our apartment door, keys clenched so hard my knuckles were white. I hadn't planned to come home early. It was instinct. That quiet, gnawing instinct that blooms when a routine becomes too perfect, or when silence lasts too long after "I'm working late again" texts. I turned the key slowly. No creak, no warning, just a quiet, smooth click, the kind you pray they don't hear. Our hallway smelled of her perfume, peonies and something expensive, stronger than usual, as if she had sprayed too much. I stopped just outside the bedroom. I could hear them, not sounds of passion, not laughter, but her voice, low, rehearsed. 10 minutes, she said. Then he'll be home. Transfer the rest, like we agreed. I should have left, should have slammed the door, made a scene, cried like a man who still believed in vows. But I froze, and then I heard his voice, too calm. He still doesn't know? The money's already on your card. That's when something twisted in me. My wife was cheating, yes, but it wasn't about sex. I pushed the door open. She was in a silk robe. He was half-dressed. Both turned to me, but not with guilt, with annoyance. "You're early," she said flatly, not moving. He didn't even bother pretending to be someone else, just stared, like I was the stranger here. "I'm sorry," I managed, my voice catching. "I just forgot something." Her eyes narrowed, calculating. He stood slowly, as if trying to assert dominance. "You should go. This doesn't concern you." It was the wrong thing to say. I stepped further into the room, trying not to look at her bare legs, the scattered clothes, the untouched wine glasses. "What did you mean?" I asked him. "About the money?" My wife spoke before he could. "It's none of your business." But I locked eyes with him. He flinched. "You said it's already on her card," I repeated. "What did you pay her for?" He didn't answer. She stepped between us. "Leave, Mark." "I'm not leaving." The silence cracked. He looked at her. He really doesn't know. Her jaw tightened. Then she smiled. A slow, chilling smile. "I've been selling your life, Mark," she said. "Every detail. Your habits, your passwords, your secrets. Do you know how many people want to be you, or destroy you?" I laughed, short and bitter. "You're joking." Her smile faded. "Do I look like I'm joking?" My world collapsed, not because she slept with someone else, but because she'd made me the product. And I had no idea how deep it went. I didn't sleep that night, didn't scream, didn't smash anything. I just sat in the kitchen, the cursor on my laptop blinking in a search bar I couldn't fill. Wife selling my life felt too insane for Reddit, but not for my apartment. She didn't come back. Not that night, not the next morning. Only a message. "Don't look for me. It's already done." No name, no emotion. I started with her bank. After 2 years of marriage, I still had access. The recent activity? Dozens of transfers, small but steady. $200 here, $500 there. All from different names, mail. Some recurring, some new. I dug deeper. Her laptop was password locked, but she had left an old backup in the cloud. That's where I saw it all. A folder named "You Won't Like This." Inside, documents, my passport, photos of my driver's license, screenshots from our bedroom camera, audio files of private conversations, my browsing history, old emails, even voice memos I didn't remember recording. Every file tagged, dated, organized. There were spreadsheets, budgets, income projections, conversations with clients. She wasn't cheating. She was monetizing me. One thread caught my attention. File name, VIP_CLIENTCHAT period. A man named ON was texting, "Can I listen to him live? Not just recordings." She answered, "It's possible, but it'll cost more." He paid. I read on. He talks to himself when stressed. Viewers love that. Viewers. I was the show. I ran to the living room, searched every corner, and I found it. A tiny camera hidden inside what looked like a Bluetooth speaker. The light blinked. It was active, still streaming. I sat there staring at that dead-eyed lens, realizing I wasn't the victim of betrayal. I was the star of a program I never agreed to join. Police? What could I say? That my wife filmed me? In her own apartment? That she profited off my existence? My phone buzzed. New notification. A payment. $200. Note. That stare into the camera? Brilliant. Chills. Chills? They were watching. Right now. Not they, as in my wife and her lover. You. Whoever you are. Viewers. Subscribers. Fans. I couldn't breathe. I ripped the camera from the speaker, smashed it against the wall, wires tangled in glass and plastic. Too late. 5 minutes later, a new alert. Another message. Audience didn't love that. Too obvious. Needs more pain. I stayed inside for 3 days. No lights, no calls. Just the faint glow of my monitor and the growing mountain of sick that built inside my chest every time I uncovered something new. She hadn't just sold footage. She had sold narratives. Threads titled The Slow Collapse of Mark D., Watching a Man Realize He's Nothing, Beta Husband Diaries. Every folder was time-stamped, edited, curated. There was even a menu, $50, access to weekly breakdowns, $100, private clips, arguments, fights, showers, $500, request a situation, stress, betrayal, paranoia, $2,000, unlock his darkest day. That last tier had a countdown timer, 3 days left. I was the darkest day. The doorbell rang on the second night. I didn't move. It rang again. Then a knock. Mark? A woman's voice, not hers. It's Eliza from 7B. You okay? Silence. Someone's been in the hallway taking pictures of your door. I still didn't answer. Later, I checked the peephole. A folded note was taped outside. It read, "We see you. Make it count." I should have gone to the police. But when your own name is trending in anonymous chat rooms labeled wives who stream, you don't call for help. You hide. And then, I found him. The man from that night. He had used a burner phone, but the cloud backup exposed his real number. His name was Carl Nunez, mid-40s, lived 2 cities over. Cyber psychologist, ironically. I tracked his clinic, even his home. And I saw something that made my stomach turn. He was live streaming too. Not his life, mine. He was hosting a reaction stream with a group of paying members, watching me, pausing, analyzing. This is Mark trying to rationalize. Notice the eye twitch, classic early-stage disassociation. They laughed. Another screen showed me, days earlier in my kitchen, muttering to myself, pacing in circles. A second feed showed my wife in a hotel room, curled up in his arms. I gave her the idea, he was saying proudly. Smart girl, saw the gap in the market. The market. Of broken men, of real lives dissected like performance art. I slammed the laptop shut, but I couldn't unsee it. I couldn't unhear it. The next day, I got another message. From her. Don't do anything stupid, Mark. There's still an NDA in your name. Breach it, and we're both ruined. I stared at the screen for a long time. We're both ruined? She still thought I was playing her game. Still thought I was a product. Still thought I'd obey the script. But something had changed. They wanted pain. I'd give them pain, and they would choke on it. Pain was easy. What came after, that cold, surgical stillness, was the hard part. I packed a bag. Not much, just enough to look like I was running. I left the apartment door ajar, the place dark and eerily still, with one bedroom camera left intact, blinking like it always had. Then I drove. Nowhere in particular. Slept in the back seat, ate from gas stations, let the phone die. I wanted them to feel abandoned. No content, no chaos, just dead air. On the third day, I checked the stream from a borrowed laptop at a public library. They were losing their minds. Chat logs full of speculation. Is he dead? Is this part of the plan? Where is he? Even Carl was panicking. He'd started streaming solo updates, sitting in that smug little room with his fake art and his bigger ego. I promise you Mark's story isn't over, he kept saying. We're just in Act 4. The silence is narrative tension. Narrative tension? He still thought he owned my arc. That's when I made my first move. I posted a video. Just 10 seconds. No face, just my voice. Carl, I'm writing the ending now. You'll love the third act twist. It went viral in under an hour. She texted me 3 times. The last one, don't. You don't know who's watching. She still thought she had control. She had no idea what I had done. Before I left, I'd copied everything. All her files, her transaction history, her deals, NDAs, secret buyers, every dirty thread tied to Carl and his network of streamers. Every man, every woman sold as someone else's story. Then I sent it. To a journalist. Not a blogger, a real one. The kind with a reputation, and enemies, and an inbox that leaks from time to time. I gave her the full story. And a week later, it exploded. Digital slavery. The new porn isn't sex. It's surveillance. Carl's clinic closed in a day. He vanished offline. My wife went private, then silent. But not before she made one last attempt. She came to find me. It was night. She tracked me to a roadside motel I'd used once, weeks ago. I woke to her knocking. She looked small, not broken, not even ashamed, just inconvenienced. You ruined everything, she hissed, standing in the rain, mascara bleeding into her skin. I opened the door wider. Let her speak. You think you won? They still talk about you. You're still his. They want you. I smiled. Not because she was wrong. Because I had already turned off the last camera. I'm not yours anymore, I said, closing the door. She screamed, fists on the wood. But there was no audience now. No watchers. Only silence. And me. I rented a basement apartment under a laundromat. No windows, no neighbors, no cameras. It smelled like mold and detergent. But for the first time in months, maybe years, I could hear myself think. No buzz, no blinking lights, just the hum of washing machines above and the quiet throb of my own breath. I lived there like a ghost, off-grid, off everything, a prepaid phone, no Wi-Fi, groceries in cash. If someone looked for me, they'd find a name that didn't exist, a man who'd disappeared. But I wasn't hiding. I was watching, because when you live in hell long enough, you start to see its cracks. Carl had gone dark, but his loyal freaks hadn't. They missed me. They needed me. Forums begged for the return of Mark. Conspiracies blossomed. Carl's keeping him sedated. No, he escaped the facility. Look at this blurry photo. He's in Berlin now. They made fan art. I wasn't a man anymore. I was myth. And that's when I realized they hadn't lost interest. They were hungry. Good. Let them starve. But there was one place they didn't watch. A server Carl used early on, buried under his old clinic domain, encrypted but sloppily. Maybe he never thought he'd need to hide from someone like me. There I found the archive. Not just of me. Others. Dozens, hundreds. Private lives filmed through lovers, roommates, even children. A black market of trauma as entertainment. Some streams were still active, others marked terminated. One showed a man crying in a stairwell. Another, a girl sleeping under flickering light. A third, I couldn't even process. She'd helped run this, my wife. She was admin on 6 of the streams, but she wasn't alone. A shell company linked them all. Harbor Reach Media, a legal facade for the network Carl started. Names I recognized, a lawyer from her old firm, a tech guy we once had over for dinner, people with real lives, real jobs, feeding on people like me. I made a list. Then I made a plan. I didn't want to expose them in headlines. I wanted to dismantle them from the inside. So I called one of the other stars. His name was Derek, 32. Used to be a teacher. Thought he was in love. Until he found a microphone sewn into the lining of his mattress. He'd tried suicide once. Now he worked night shift at a parking lot in Phoenix. I told him my story. He didn't speak for a long time. Then he said, "You're real?" I answered, "So are you." That night, we made a pact. To find the others. To reclaim our names. They filmed us breaking. Now we'd show them what it looked like when the product fights back. I didn't know what would happen next. But for the first time, it wasn't scripted. It was mine. We called it Reclaim. Not a movement, not a campaign, just a word we could say out loud that didn't taste like shame. It started with 5 of us. Derek, Leah, Omar, Jules, and me. All filmed, all sold, all silenced. We didn't scream into microphones or post threads begging the internet to care. We found each other through the cracks, encrypted drives, old burner chat rooms, ex-moderators with guilty consciences. Each of us had our own version of hell. Leah had been streamed by her boyfriend, a psychology student, who used her panic attacks as study material. Omar's brother installed spyware to fund his startup. Jules had lived on a loop, her sleepwalking disorder sold as horror content to thrill-seeking subscribers. We were different stories, but the same punchline, our lives commodified. So we built something, not flashy, not public, a digital back room with keys only we could hold. And then we started pulling threads. One by one, I used my name as bait, posted a blurry photo of myself on a dark forum with the caption, "He's resurfaced, the original." Within hours, messages poured in. Old handlers, curious lurkers, the desperate, nostalgic ones. We traced them, found the patterns, the wallet IDs, the IPS, the buyers, and we leaked it, not in mass, in surgical strikes. A data packet sent to a congressman's office with proof his aide ran a streaming room called Grief Lab. A dossier to a journalist showing a Silicon Valley investor profiting from voyeur feeds labeled Roommate Anxiety. An anonymous envelope to the wife of a man who made thousands selling his teenage stepson's breakdowns. One by one, the dominoes began to fall. Reclaim wasn't revenge. It was removal. We didn't just want them exposed, we wanted them erased. Some of them ran. Others denied everything. A few tried to fight back, hire firms, file claims. But you can't sue a shadow, and you can't kill what you already sold. They wanted content, we gave them consequences. But not everyone was gone. She was still out there. My wife. She hadn't been part of Harbor Reach in months. Rumor was she'd moved to Bali under a new name, opened a retreat, spiritual healing for broken women. I found her website. The banner read, "You are not your past, you are your power." I laughed, because she still believed the story she'd written was the only one that mattered. She didn't know what was coming. None of them did. Reclaim wasn't just ours now. It was growing. I found her in Ubud. Bali was warm, quiet, soaked in incense and denial, the kind of place you run to when guilt wears too much perfume. She called herself Mira now, taught breathwork and hosted retreats with titles like Undoing the Inner Masculine. The flyer on her gate had her face on it. Still beautiful, still sharp, a little softer around the eyes, guilt, maybe, or branding. I signed up for the retreat under a fake name. She didn't recognize me at first. Too much beard, too little light behind the eyes she used to know. I kept quiet. Watched her guide rich Westerners through trauma rituals like she hadn't sold real suffering to strangers just a year ago. On the third night, she asked me to stay after the group exercise. "Your energy feels familiar," she said, voice slow, rehearsed. "Have we met?" I leaned in, whispered one word. "Stream." Her face went pale. Then she laughed. She always did that when cornered. "I figured it was only a matter of time," she said, exhaling like I'd just confirmed her deepest fear and wildest hope. "I'm not here for a speech," I said, "or closure." She nodded. "You're here to ruin me." "No," I said. "I'm here to finish writing you." That was the thing she never understood. She thought the moment I walked out, her story was over, like cutting the stream ended the harm. But people like her didn't just film the fall, they built the cliff. So I gave her a choice. I handed her a phone, preloaded, one file, one recording, a confession, her voice, her words, her deals, the price tags. Her face wasn't in it, but her soul was. "Send this," I said, "to everyone on your mailing list, every follower, every guest. You have 24 hours. She stared at the screen, then at me. "You think that's justice?" she hissed. "You think they'll care?" "No," I said. "I think you will." I walked away, left her there in her open-air villa, surrounded by bamboo and lies. I didn't check if she sent the video. I didn't need to. The next morning, the retreat was gone. Website down, Instagram erased, bookings canceled, and Mira was trending. Not as a healer, as a thief. I didn't smile. There was no triumph, just silence. The kind she used to sell, only now she owned it. She didn't run, she disappeared. No post, no apology, no reinvention. One day, her digital trace just blinked out, as if she'd never existed, as if Mira was never real, just another character in someone else's feed. The email list was deleted. Her crypto wallets drained, the retreat center abandoned. Mats still rolled out, candles half burned. I stood at the edge of the jungle where the path curved toward her villa. No cameras, no Wi-Fi, just birds and heat. The silence she used to monetize now wrapped her like a punishment. I never saw her again. But I knew what that silence meant. It wasn't guilt, it was survival. She'd finally understood that not everything could be controlled, not everyone could be scripted. That pain, when left unchecked, doesn't just fade, it organizes. It finds others. It builds systems. It becomes fire. And me? I didn't go back to my old name. That man was archived, time-stamped, and sold. He'd been edited by people who thought his life was a sandbox. But I kept the memory of what it felt like to be watched. Of what it sounded like when strangers laughed at your collapse. Of what it costs to be real in a world hungry for spectacle. And I used it. Reclaim grew. Other survivors joined. We found more archives, more names. Quietly, steadily, we exposed the machinery behind their entertainment. No noise, no hashtags, just truth, stripped, slow, undeniable. Some of them tried to apologize. Some tried to pay. Others vanished like she did. Good. Let them hide in the dark for once. Let them wonder if every stranger who walks by knows what they did. As for the audience, they moved on, of course. They always do. They found a new stream, a new victim, another story to binge. But they don't watch me anymore. And if they ever try, they'll find nothing but static. Not because I'm afraid, because I've rewired the feed. Now I choose what gets seen and what never will again.